Hi there, my name is Marissa Maldonado and I'll be performing my midterm exam for my Education 204 class. So, I read Nurture Shock Chapter 8. It's called Can Self-Control Be Taught? We're going to start out with what I learned. So there's a program called Tool. It first began as a case study implemented throughout New Jersey, and it was for preschool and kindergarten classes. There was a control group and then the independent group, and the control was the normal classes being taught by the regular government-issued program curriculum, and then the study group was the Tool instructed classes. Everything was basically the same. There were teachers, there were students, but the way that the class was laid out varied because the students had more reign in order to control how they focused on what they were learning. And obviously teachers told them what to do, but when it got down to the bottom line, they had a larger initiative in what it meant for what they were doing. Like, basically, some students will get left behind, and the learning system is not for everybody. That's why we need different ways to approach things, and that's why Tool began to come into existence. Basically, they changed up the way that things were done. Like, instead of putting the alphabet just in a straight order across the wall, they grouped it into like different sounds that were being made, like the sound with T or S. Like, those kind of sounds were grouped together, or creating like study guides and time management skills. Even though these kids were only in preschool and kindergarten, it made a huge impact on them. Uh, Another one is that when they had playtime, they had role play and they would be like a firefighter or like, a cop or something. Basically, they created roles for themselves, and this was a big deal because it allowed for them to actually, it was more than just playing. It was the ability to apply themselves to something for the hour time. And it wasn't just telling them, go be a firefighter and enjoy yourself. It was be a firefighter and completely be aware of what their goals are and what it means. This is how they ended up sustaining interest. It ended up creating like multi-dimensional thought processes because of sustained interest. And this is a huge deal because this is how we get kids to void distraction. It's really hard to wonder when kids will start paying attention. And it's beyond this. It's because they were able to apply symbolism to what they were doing. And that may seem really far-fetched for somebody that is so young, but symbolism allows us to develop higher conceptualization of ideas. We're able to start layering abstract ideas with reality, and this is how we begin to make correlations. This is what college students do, is we make large, in-depth correlations of what's happening in the world around us, and that starts when we're children, when we're born. It's a huge deal, and the last part of the symbolism and its importance, even within playtime and all of these different forms of learning, is that it allows them to recognize the narrative in their head. When do we finally realize that voice in our head, the Socratic why kind of? When do we realize why we ask the questions we ask? Some people may never ask why, they ask why. But these kids actually get the opportunity to have self-reflection because it's beyond just playing, it's why are they playing, and that will further on for the rest of their life. Furthermore, from symbolism, we're able to assume that they are developing their prefrontal cortex a lot faster than those of the average students, which are being taught in the normal curriculum. By the way, that only lasted a year before they moved everybody to the tools program because it was just neglectful because of how successful it was to hold it from other students. The prefrontal cortex controls organization, impulse control, goal orientation. That's a huge deal and a huge determination of success for a lot of people. This is a big deal because it's playing into their neurology, and the harder they work, the more they enjoy what they're doing, the better it's going to get, and the cycle will continue. Their brains will continue to grow and be more successful. They'll enjoy learning more. Thus, they'll become and reflect it in their IQ and their grades. Lastly, is the important point to recognize from this chapter is that it was not about people and children being born to be smart. There were children who were at lower levels who were put into the tools classes. There were children at higher levels. You can have innate intellect just due to straight epigenetics and intellect from your parents. That is possible. Genetics are real. But it's the matter of what you end up influencing yourself with that matters. It's not just about who the person is born into. It's about who they choose to be. That's a lot to ask of kids, but it's about self-discipline. And these kids who were through this program, the tools program, learned much better than those for regular programs. Okay. Why would you guys be interested? Well, we're college students. It matters to recognize our shortcomings, basically. You know, we all probably suffer with distraction and procrastination, I myself included. A part of this program is that it was very goal-oriented, and I think a lot of us neglect the idea of setting goals for ourselves. We're very day-to-day, but what about week to week or month to month? What about a year from now? Like, where do we want to be? Why could this matter to us? Controlling impulse. These kids had to control their impulse just as much as we try to, or maybe don't try to. It could be the equivalent of like when those preschoolers, the tools kids, got into a food fight in a cafeteria. They actually didn't participate in it at all, but the other students who weren't in the tools class did participate, and those kids were very well behaved. Imagine if we could be like the tools kids and not give in to the impulses of Netflix or going out to eat instead of studying more. We are capable of this. How can we enjoy this? And it really comes down to our mindset. We're probably not going to want to spend more time on this if we don't enjoy what we're doing in the first place. It's so much harder. When you're working on what you're learning and you legitimately care about it, it's creating dopamine in your brain. There's a literal neurological release that is happening, and it's making your brain work even harder and faster and better than it used to be. And it's actually more exhausting. So the smarter you get, the more you have to take care of yourself because your brain is like literally burning glucose. It's amazing. We can do anything. Well, besides straightforward college tips, something that can help is memorization abilities too. We don't have playtime, but we can create patterns for ourselves that make us enjoy our work a lot more. I am in computer science. I major in it, and with me and my friends, it's very math and science based. And we do our homework together, we study together, tutoring center, and it's really fun, honestly, because we make fun of it and we make it fun, and it makes it so much more worthwhile when you're programming with friends, or doing math with friends, or working on an essay or something with friends. If you're able to concentrate, it can make it so much better, and learning these things together can turn really dry material into something that actually matters. So, beyond telling you guys to change something, what I am going to change is definitely just speaking my words into existence. I definitely have my Canvas calendar, but that's not very in-depth. It fills itself out for me. I definitely want to start writing out my goals because I think that there's a lot more retention with pen to paper instead of just typing out everything we learn. I definitely think that it's important to just continue working with my peers and people in my classes and really network. It helps your life so much, and it continues to develop the prefrontal cortex. Honestly, I mean, our brains don't stop completely developing until we're 25 years old, so you have time. You can grow. It's totally possible, and there's no need to limit ourselves to thinking that this is it, this is all we are, because we can always grow to be more than we are now. And those tools kids, whether they were at a lower IQ, whatever they tested at proficiently, vice versa for higher IQ students, they're always able to push themselves due to discipline. It's more than your IQ. It's about what you want out of life, whether you're 3 years old or 30 years old. Keep going. Lastly, I tried out this technique on somebody, a coworker, and basically we just talked about this because I'm not going to test their efficiency by some study guide or anything. Basically, we boiled it down to these kids were successful because instead of being told what to think, they're being told to think about what they're being told. Going back to the Socratic question of why. Most kids just end up the flaw in academia right now, especially in the US, is that there's very authoritative discipline, which isn't too bad. We should definitely have somebody to look forward to, but how can we ever develop an opinion for ourselves if we're constantly listening to somebody else? Hence the tools kids getting free rein sometimes. We also boil down to another really nice point, and it's a quote by Einstein, and I will end on this. Common sense is the collection of prejudices acquired by age 18. If students had developed their prefrontal cortex earlier in life, then maybe their successes would have turned out differently. When you realize this, you can change it at present, but if there was nothing done when you were younger, it was out of your control. It was completely just an independent variable. You could not control it. And there's a curriculum we have to follow, so we can't just exactly fight the power for school. But it's important to realize that even though we were born into something, we can change our path, and it is up to us to determine our success. Just as these tools kids did, we can too. And That's what I learned from it. That's what I hope you can get out of it. And this is what it can be and mean to other people as well. Thank you.